Welcome to Battles of the American Civil War.
The Battle of Bluff, which took place same day in Loudoun County, Virginia.
This one not so good for the old Unions.
In which the Union Army forces under Major General George McClellan suffered a humiliating defeat.
Dang, McClellan. He later became, he is Major General now.
Yes, he was. 3 months after the first Battle of Bull Run, Major General George B. McClellan was building up the Army of the Potomac in preparation for an eventual advance into Virginia. On October 19, 1861, McClellan ordered Brigadier General George A. McCall to march his division to Drainesville, Virginia, 12 miles southeast of Leesburg, in order to discover the purpose of recent Confederate troop movements, which indicated that Colonel Nathan Shanks Evans might have abandoned Leesburg.
Oh, he's thinking, I don't think we have a post at Leesburg anymore, because why are all these Confederates moving in?
So he's saying all these Confederates are moving out. Did
right.
they abandon Leesburg, and can we go and swoop down and take that shit real quick?
Colonel Evans, in fact, left the town on the 16th or 17th of October, but had done so on his own authority. When Confederate Brigadier General P.G.T. Beauregard expressed his displeasure at this, Evans returned.
He's like, man, come on. We were doing nothing here anyways.
Did anybody tell you to leave your spot?
Right, he's like, what are you doing, dude?
So why did you leave your spot? Well, by the evening of October 19th, he had taken up a defensive position on the Alexandria to Winchester Turnpike, modern-day State Route 7, which was east of town. McClellan came to Drainesville to consult with McCall that very same evening and ordered McCall to return to his main camp at Langley, Virginia, the following morning. However, McCall requested additional time to complete some mapping of the roads in the area, and as a result, did not actually leave for Langley until the morning of the 21st of October, just as the fighting at Ball's Bluff was heating up.
The fighting heats up, and he's like, all right, I think I'll go back to Langley now.
Nah, they got it.
On October 20th, while McCall was completing his mapping, McClellan ordered Brigadier General Charles Pomeroy Stone to conduct what he called a slight demonstration in order to see how the Confederates might react.
Okay.
Stone moved troops to the river at Edwards Ferry, positioned other forces along the river, had his artillery fire into suspected Confederate positions, and briefly crossed about 100 men of the 1st Minnesota to the Virginia shore just before dusk.
Oh.
Having got no reaction from Colonel Evans with all of this activity, Stone recalled his troops to their camps, and the slight demonstration came to an end.
Yeah, it was a slight demonstration, all right.
Either Confederates weren't responding purposely, or there was nobody there.
Right. Stone then ordered Colonel Charles Devens of the 15th Massachusetts Infantry, stationed on Harrison's Island, facing Ball's Bluff, to send a patrol across the river at that point to gather what information it could about enemy deployments or any type of activity. Let me know what's going on over there, please. Devens sent Captain Chase Philbrick and approximately 20 men to carry out Stone's orders.
This is the Army in a nutshell.
Right.
The top guy sends an order, goes to the other one. Hey, why don't we send this guy? Hey, let's go send that guy. Hey, let's send this guy.
Grab yourself 20 men and...
Right. They're like, I don't know. Who do we go tell to? I guess we have to.
I guess we're the last ones.
We're the ones.
Dang. Kevin's not here. Give this to Kevin. Yep. Last one. Advancing in the dark nearly a mile inland from the bluff, the inexperienced Philbrick mistook a row of trees for tents of the Confederate camp, and without verifying what he saw, returned and reported the existence of a camp. Stone immediately ordered Devens to cross some 300 men, and as soon as it was light enough to see, attack the camp per his orders. Return to your present position.
So hurry up, go attack them sons of bitches,
boom.
and come back.
Little did he know.
A row of trees. Better take your axes.
Right.
This was the genesis of the Battle of the Ball's Bluff. Contrary to the long-held traditional interpretation, it did not come from a plan by either McClellan or Stone to take Leesburg. The initial crossing of troops was a small reconnaissance. Mm-hmm. That was followed by what was intended to be a raiding party. To make matters worse, Stone was not advised that McCall and his division had been ordered back to Washington.
Oh,
jeez.
Senor Duck.
So, I don't understand. The Union sucks at communication.
Right.
Well, we got the Army of Potomac. George B. McClellan is the major general there, but he's not even present.
Nope.
And then we have the Corps of Observation, led by Brigadier General Charles Pomeroy Stone. We have Stone's Division, led by Charles Pomeroy Stone himself, which had the 1st Company Massachusetts Sharpshooters, 7th Michigan Infantry, 19th Massachusetts Infantry, and the 20th Massachusetts Infantry.
Okay.
Then we had the 2nd Brigade, led by Brigadier General Willis Gorman, which had the 1st Minnesota Infantry, the 2nd New York State Militia, the 34th New York Infantry. Our 3rd Brigade, led by Colonel Edward Baker, had the 1st California Infantry, the 2nd California Infantry, the 3rd California Infantry, and the 5th California Infantry. Apparently didn't want to take the 4th there. And then
these dudes, they made these dudes travel 3,000 miles on foot, and then they had to battle instantly.
Right.
Oh, they probably took is there a train from California then? By then, no. There's no train, 1861.
Unassigned regiments, we had the 15th Massachusetts Infantry, 42nd New York Infantry. Don't know why they were unassigned, but then we had cavalry as well, 3rd New York Cavalry Regiment, Putnam Rangers from D.C. Volunteer Cavalry, and some artillery, 1st U.S. Artillery Battery 1, and 1st Rhode Island getting in on the action, Light Artillery Battery B.
Well, you got New York State Militia Artillery Detachment and the 6th New York Independent Battery.
Right. Over on Confederate side, led by Colonel Nathan Shanks Evans and General Joseph E. Johnson, who wasn't present. We had the 7th Brigade, led by Colonel Evans, 8th Virginia Infantry, 13th Mississippi Infantry, 17th Mississippi, 18th Mississippi. Then we had the cavalry, led by Lieutenant Corporal Walter Jennifer, had the Chesterfield Light Dragoons, had the Loudon Cavalry, the Madison Invincibles, the Powhatan Troop, and the Wise Dragoons. And artillery consisted of the Richmond Howitzers, 1st Company. Dude, they had some strength. There's some people fighting, huh?
Morning of 21st of October, Colonel Devon's raiding party discovered the mistake made the previous evening by the patrol. There was no camp to raid. It's a bunch of freaking trees. Opting not to recross the river immediately, Devons deployed his men to a tree line and sent a messenger back to report to Stone and get new instructions, which is smart, right? Like, hey, we're here.
Right. Do you want us to do some other stuff? Or
might as well stay here.
Go back to the damn camp. What do you want me to do?
On hearing the messenger's report, Stone sent him back to tell Devons that the remainder of the 15th Massachusetts, or another 350 men, would cross the river and move to his position. When they arrived, Devons was to turn his raiding party back into reconnaissance and move toward Leesburg.
All right. Well, yeah, you got... So, basically... he's going to be relieved by those 350 men, and he's on his way to go scout some more area.
Right. Clearly, Devon's guys are not battlers.
Well, they'd be the first to engage.
Right.
If they came up upon somebody. So, while the messenger was going back to Colonel Devons with this new information, Colonel and U.S. Senator Edward Dickinson Baker showed up at Stone's camp to find out about the morning's events. He had not been involved in any of the activities to that point. Stone told him of the mistake about the camp and about his new orders to reinforce Devons for reconnaissance purposes. He then instructed Baker to go to the crossing point, evaluate the situation, and either withdraw the troops already in Virginia or cross additional troops at his discretion.
Okay.
So it's up to you, man. You wanna cross more? You go ahead.
Want to pursue this more? I mean, I would, right? I mean, that's more land that you're taking. On the way upriver to execute this order, Baker met Devon's messenger, coming back to a second time to report that Devons and his men had encountered a briefly engagement with the old enemy. One company of the 17th Mississippi Infantry. Baker immediately ordered as many troops as he could find to cross the river, but he had to do so without determining what boats were available to do this. A bottleneck quickly developed so that Union troops could only cross slowly and in small numbers, making the crossing last throughout the day. Meanwhile, Devon's men, now about 650 strong, remained in its advanced position and engaged in 2 additional skirmishes with a growing force of Confederates, while other Union troops crossed the river but deployed near the bluff and did not advance from there. Oh, geez, why not? Devons finally withdrew around 2 p.m. and met Baker, who had finally crossed the river half an hour later. Beginning around 3 o'clock, the fight began in earnest and was almost continuous until just after dark.
Sink your heels in, boys.
We're in for a long one.
Well, Colonel Baker was killed at about 4:30 p.m. and remains the only United States senator ever killed in battle.
Wow.
Following an abortive attempt to break out of their constricted position around the bluff, the Federals began to recross the river in some disarray. Shortly before dark, a fresh Confederate regiment, which was the 17th Mississippi, arrived and formed the core of the climatic assault that finally broke and routed their Union troops.
Jeez.
Many of the Union soldiers were driven down the steep slope at the southern end of Ball's Bluff, behind the current location of the National Cemetery, and into the river. Boats attempting to cross back to Harrison Island were soon swamped and capsized.
Dang.
Many Federals, included some of the wounded, were drowned.
Dang. That suck. I mean,
Why is it when the Confederates lose, they just get their asses handed to them or something, and then, they retreat. Whenever the Union loses like this, they always do some stupid, embarrassing shit.
and they're caught like in between a corner and nowhere to go.
I don't understand what the hell goes on here.
I just love looking at the pictures and photographs of Civil War.
Well, it's a painting, but...
Right. 10 feet away battles, and that's the truth.
That's probably a little dramatized.
I don't think so, bud.
You're a couple 100 yards away.
If that dude shot him in the head, he'd definitely end up grabbing his head.
Yeah. Well, definitely. The bullet, you can see the line of the bullet.
All right. He's just falling over. No time to grab your head.
And there's a pumpkin in the background.
On legs.
Right. What is that?
What is
that?
that?
Supposed to be Ball's Bluff. It's like a ball.
And he's bluffing. He has a card. And what's that?
Oh, I wonder if this dude shot him. Because he's got his pistol out.
Well, there's a guy laying on the ground and he's wearing a red shirt. So there's the British guy there? Or is that Rock?
I don't know. Well, it's definitely a guy on the ground, right? So there looks like one right there, too.
Oh, jeez.
Looks like one right here, too.
Bodies floated down river to Washington, even as far as Mount Vernon, in the days following the battle. Dang.
Jeez.
A total of 223 Federals were killed, 226 wounded, 550 were captured on the banks of the Potomac later that night. Dang. 553 were captured. These dudes lost almost 1,000 men.
Pretty much, yeah.
The official records incorrectly state that only 49 Federals were killed at the battle, an error probably resulting from a mistake reading of the report of the Union burial detail, which crossed over the next day under flag of truce. 54 Union dead, of whom only one is identified, are buried in Ball's Bluff National Cemetery. A Union howitzer captured by Confederate forces was recaptured on the 29th of May in 1863 from John S. Mosby. He raided Greenwich, Virginia. Okay.
Then
he had to get that cannon back. He's like, I need that howitzer, baby.
49 Federals buried at
And only
54 Union dead, of whom is only one is identified is buried in Ball's Bluff Battlefield and National Cemetery. One identified. They didn't even know who these guys were, dude.
So there's 53. Imagine how many. Imagine.
Or towards the whole war, right? Like, how many do you even... They don't even know.
Right. Well, apparently there's 223 killed, so most of them are floating down the river. I don't know who they are. Damn, that's sad news, Bears.
Mm-hmm. This Union defeat was relatively minor in comparison to the battles to come in the war, but it had an enormously wide impact in and out of military affairs.
We're reacting over 223, almost 1,000. Pretty soon we're going to get to
10,000.
5,000 dead. Oh, my.
In addition to losing 223 soldiers, the Union lost a sit-in senator, right, which led to severe political ramifications in Washington.
Right.
Stone was treated as the scapegoat for the defeat, but members of Congress suspected that there was a conspiracy to betray the Union. The ensuing outcry and a desire to learn why Federal forces had lost battles at Bull Run, Wilson's Creek, and Ball's Bluff led to the establishment of the Congressional Joint Committee on the Conduct of the War. Now they're going to start holding these guys. Now they're going to start holding these guys responsible for the shitty planning and shitty stuff they've been doing.
Guess who's probably going to be the first one to fall? Oh, General McClellan.
Well, that would be devil Union officers for the remainder of the war, particularly those who were Democrats, and contribute to nasty political infighting amongst the generals and the high command. Yeah, these guys. Obviously it's only the first few months of the war, but I'm absolutely astounded how the Union even won.
Lieutenant Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. of the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry survived a nearly fatal wound at Ball's Bluff to become an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States in 1902.
Damn, 40 years later.
Herman Melville's poem, Ball's Bluff, a Reverie, published in 1866, commemorates the battle.
Good for him.
Holmes's great friend and role model, Lieutenant Henry Livermore Abbott, also survived the battle, but did not survive the war. 1865. Abbott was promoted to Brigadier General. Another outstanding young officer named Edmund Rice, also eventually reached the rank of Brigadier General, was awarded the Medal of Honor. and was fortunate enough to survive the war by near of half a century. Nice. Second Lieutenant John William Grout of the 15th Massachusetts was killed in the battle. His death inspired a poem and later a song titled The Vacant Chair.
The Vacant Chair. The site of the battlefield is preserved as the Bluff Battlefield and National Cemetery, which was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1984.
Okay.
The park is maintained by the Northern Virginia Regional Park Authority, and the battlefield area has been restored over time to look much like it did in 1861. That would be cool.
It would.
Interpretive tours are given by volunteer guides throughout the spring, summer, and fall, each weekend at 11 to 1. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's it. The Civil War Trust, a division of the American Battlefield Trust, and its partners have acquired and preserved 3 acres of the battlefield.
That's why he's only 11 to 1.
Right, it's not that big.
And I'm surprised it takes that long for 3 acres.
3 acres, I mean,
Nothing.
kind of big.
Bernard Cornwell's Copperhead, the second installment of the Starbuck Chronicles, begins with the Battle of Ball's Bluff.
All right.
The fictional Falconer Legion is placed at the left flank of the Confederate position, led by Captain Starbuck's K Company. Begins the rout on the Union forces. Okay.
The Starbuck Chronicles about the war, I'm assuming.
Maybe. Geraldine Brooks' March, winner of the 2006 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, also opens with the Battle of Ball's Bluff. Mr. March, the father in Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, is it Louisa?
Sure.
Is the chaplain serving with the Union Army. So, okay.
Okay. Along the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal on the Maryland side, it was rumored that ghosts of departed soldiers from that battle, particularly those who drowned in one of the boats that sank in the Potomac, haunted that area. So canal workers did not stay in that area overnight.
But they did.
Tied up for boats. They tied up their boats elsewhere.
Could you
They're
imagine?
like, yeah, I don't think
Dude.
so.
I will bet you there's such thing as ghosts. They are. And you're on a battlefield like that. Oh, just imagine. I don't think there's ghosts in cemeteries.
Why? I think
the
the most common thing is
I think the ghosts went
they
where
usually follow. They usually stay where they die.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They usually are where they die. They just don't go places. Like, ooh, my childhood home. Let's haunt this place. It has to be everywhere. All of them are haunted.
A soldier's orphanage cellar is said to make psychics too afraid to enter the house.
Some crazy stuff going on there, buddy. Crazy stuff going on in India.
Lincoln's ghost.
No, not
Haunt the White House. Why?
No, not at the White. Why would it be at the White House?
Calvin Coolidge's wife claims to spot Lincoln's ghost.
Oh, jeez.
Looking at the Potomac River, sadly, from the Oval Office.